Hey guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be giving you 5 tips to help you understand and master Lotus, Valorant's new map in episode 6, a little more quickly. So this map is very unique. It's similar to Haven. It has 3 sites, but other than that, it's really not similar to Haven at all. It does have some gimmicks that are kind of similar to Ascent in my opinion, and that's what we're going to be talking about for the first tip. I'm just going to be explaining how the doors work, and also there's a couple other things that I want to include in this tip. So there's a door here. Most of you guys probably know how this works. You hit the switch, and then it's going to rotate. Okay, so as you can see, for those of you that aren't as astute, the door actually kind of pauses whenever it's right here in the middle. So it doesn't pause, but it slows down a lot, which gives you a second to kind of take fights. So a lot of you might actually know how the door works, but be a little bit confused about how and when to use it. So I've thought about this, and I think the best way to use this door here specifically is to do a split, a C-B split, and you guys can converge on either going to B or going to C. So what I mean by this, let's say that we have like 2 teammates coming up this way, and then we have 3 teammates like right here. So you guys can like smoke this off, and if you want to go B, you open this. Your teammates are running up here, and then you guys kind of like sandwich them, and everyone comes together right here, and then you guys push them, right? And that's a really cool way you can use this door. But you can also use it the other way, so we could put 3 people over here to start. We could put 2 people over here, smoke this off right here, and push over here, open the door, and converge, right? So your team can be sitting back here, you can open this door, your team can run out at the same time. Ideally, of course, if you're in a lower rank, that might be hard to coordinate. You do have to be careful behind here, by the way. And then, so yeah, that's how this door can be used. Let's go ahead and talk about the other door real briefly. I think this door is much more useful than the other one. Maybe not, actually. This door kind of works the same. So you guys can push all the way up here, but using this door is going to be important. You open it, and then your team can split push from here and from here, right? So this is the site. I will be talking about a site a little bit later in this video, because I think I've noticed a few things about it that make it kind of interesting. It's a bit unique compared to other sites here. But the last 2 things I want to talk about in this tip is this door here, which I think most closely is related to the glass door, the glass on Ascent that you can break that goes to A Heaven, right? Because it's always there, except this one, it takes more damage. It takes more damage to break. Now, as a defender, you guys can either choose to break it straight away to rotate a little more easily, or you can choose to keep it, because if you're just gonna like anchor down on A, it can be good to listen in and see if the enemies are gonna break this, right? Because they cannot come through here without making noise and shooting it or knifing it or whatever, which is good. So the last thing here is that there is a rope here. And this is really just to kind of rotate. We'll be talking more about this site, like I said, in a minute. But let's go ahead and move on to the next tip. All right, guys. So for the next tip, I'm going to be showing you some really nice defensive spots to anchor down sites. One thing you're going to realize about this map is that as an attacker, there are a lot of long angles that you're going to need to be able to take. This means this is going to be really good for ops. This is going to be really good for just long-range Vandal fights. These are all over the map. There's one here. There's one here. These are the 2 main ones on C and A. This is kind of like peeking A long, right? Or I mean C long on Haven. But a really good defensive spot here would be like this. You can kind of hold an angle like this, or you can peek really wide. But if you break this is a good way to get out. But even if that's not broken, this is still pretty safe, because you see you have kind of like this whole sort of area here to kind of tuck into. And if you have a smoke as Jet, or if you have a dismiss as Reyna, you can hold this, and they can't cross over here, so they can't get to this door without you being able to get a kill. This is a rather aggressive defensive spot. Another spot that I've seen people play on this map is they'll play right behind here, which is kind of tricky. This is a spot that you need to be very aware of. I'm guessing this is a spot that a lot of lower ranked players are just not going to be clearing. But you really need to be aware of this spot, because it's whenever you're coming in here, you're probably not thinking about this. You're probably thinking about over here. So remember this, and remember to try this on defense, right? Whenever people come over to this door. I notice people don't use this door a lot either, but they do sometimes. Let's go ahead and move over here. Let's go to C first. So something I like to do specifically as a duelist is, this is again kind of aggressive. I like to kind of run across here and then crouch, because this mound does protect you. You can actually timing this, so whenever the round starts, you can make it here before they can see you in most cases. And then right here, you might see someone, but if you don't, you can tuck into this corner here. And this can be very tricky. Of course, this is pretty dangerous, but a lot of people are, again, probably not going to clear this, especially in the lower ranks. You can also just kind of walk up to the mound. You can even walk up onto the mound and look for fights, smoke, get out, dash out over here. Another place I like to defend is right here. This is pretty solid. You can also come up here. This is a little bit not as good, but a little bit more defensive. Just play back here or come all the way back and kind of play retake if you need. This site is very interesting. I mean, this map is very pretty, and I think the layout is very nice as well. I think this map will be a lot of people's favorites, to be honest. I think this map will be in my upper tiers just because it's so similar to... It's like a combination of Haven and Ascent from what I understood so far. So for B, I haven't really defended B much for some reason, but I think a good spot to defend could be up here. And I always like to play close, so whenever I do play B, I actually do like to peek here. This is again, this is another one of these long-range sort of fights, medium to long-range fights. So you can kind of sit here, listen. If they're running up, you can kind of do like a peek, dash out, or dismiss. You can also play behind this box, which is of course very risky. You have the possibility of getting sandwiched. You know, that split push that I was talking about earlier. This is very dangerous for that. So if they're coming from this side and from over here, you're probably gonna die, unless you know you're there and you know that you're just ready to fight them. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next tip. Those are some of the best spots that you can defend from. Alright guys, so for the third tip, I'm going to be giving you some pretty tricky updraft or boost spots. So this can work if you're Omen, Jett, Sage, Raze, like all those characters that can get on high ground. So, and this is also something you can play, but you should also be aware of like whenever you're attacking, you should place your crosshair up here. So this is a spot that you could get opt from. This is a spot that someone could just be holding just to kind of throw you off, because let's be honest, this map's new. You're not thinking, oh, I'm going to be looking up here right now. This is not something you're thinking about. So this is something you can really do whenever this map initially comes out for competitive, to throw your opponents off. There are a lot of high ground spots on this site, so you can play up here on A. I'm not sure what good this will do you. This might be good as a defender if you're trying to just anchor it down, or if you plant, I think this might actually be better just because like you're kind of on the same level as the people over here, and you can kind of see over here. Another boost spot that I think is really dirty. So like if you're rotating or if you're just defending, and for some reason you think that the enemy team's going to be pushing really hard, you play all the way back here. This spot's really nice. They can still plant and you can't see them, but more than likely you'll get one here. This is a hyper defensive spot though, so keep that in mind. Other high ground spots that I found, there's a couple over here on C. So the first one is right back here. I tried to get up here, but they don't want you to be up there, so you can't actually go up there. This is again pretty good. This is something you're, let's be honest, not going to expect right now. You're not going to be placing your crosshair up here, so if you have the ability to come up here, you might as well try it out. You can typically just drop down afterward as well and be pretty safe. And yeah, so there's one more boost spot right here. This one's going to be harder to get to. This one is like good if you think they start A, but you think they might rotate. On my way. So you're like, your team's like, oh, they're all C, but you're like, oh, they're going to rotate. So you come up here and you just wait. Can you actually come up here as well? Oh, you can. So this is also another spot. There's so many high ground spots, and then there's this one. You can't actually get all the way on top without a boost, but this is another one. Not sure if you'd really want to use that. But for B, there's only like single boxes. So there's a single box here, there's a single box here, and then this is a nice high ground spot here. So these are all spots that you should be at least sort of have in your mind to expect be playing against you. These are good spots to play specifically as Jett or Omen or Raze, or whoever else can get up here. Like Sage could boost up behind here. You can up here from up here as Jett. You come up here as a Jett as well. This would be a pretty good angle to hold from, to opt from, holding either of these angles. And yeah, so keep that in mind. Let's move on to the next tip. So next we're going to be talking about where might you see the spike typically be planted from the attackers, and how post plant might be played on each of the 3 sites here. So I have limited experience with this map. I've played quite a few games in the new mode, but that is Swift play. So take this with a grain of salt, but I will be kind of trying to guess what will happen in competitive play. So I think a really nice plant spot here for C site would be like right here. Just because you can plant here, and even if they're defusing, you're still going to be able to see them from here. And that's going to make it quite hard for the defenders to be able to do much here without like a smoke or something, right? They're quite exposed, and I think this would be a pretty solid plant spot. And by the way, you can see where you want to plant here by the wood. The wood is where you can plant here. You can also plant, looks like on the stairs. So that's one plant spot. you might also just plant like back here. You can even play for spawn. For example, if you know that the enemies are flanking, you can plant here and then double up with a teammate or something over here and over here, over there. And then this is going to be planted nice for you. Otherwise, somewhere up here is probably just going to be the default plant spot. Because again, you can see all the way over here, and it's really hard for the defenders to do much unless they smoke you off or something else, right? And so yeah, they can use like Harbor's ability maybe to block you off or something. But that's how I think the C post plants will go. You'll probably be playing back here for the most part. It's kind of reminds me of A site on Icebox. Your goal is just get the spike done and then get out. Although this site's a little different, so I could see defenders playing like up here and here, but not probably up here unless you're a duelist. Like you come up here to defend and catch people off guard, even back here. But typically you'll probably see people play farther back. So for B site, it's quite weird. I wish that this map showed you where you can plant a little better, like other maps do. You can kind of see it here, but it's kind of hard to see. So this is where it starts. You can plant like right here. You can plant all the way over to this wall, and then you can plant over to here. And you can't plant up here. So you're probably mostly going to be planting down against this wall because it's going to be safer than planting like, you know, all the way up here, for example. And where do you play from? You probably gonna want to take some space somewhere. So you're probably going to push into here, maybe take space up here, or you can just play back here. But for example, if you can get up into here, push this, have a duelist push this, take control of this, then you can just kind of defend the spike from here pretty easily. But if you stay back, it's going to be harder to defend because the enemies can be coming from here, here, and here, which is going to make it pretty difficult if you're not taking some other space. But your plant options are kind of limited here, so there's not like one specific plant spot that really pops out to me yet. Again, I have limited experience, so please forgive me playing this map. But A site is actually a site I don't know if I've ever seen a spike planted, because again, like I wanted to mention earlier, this site is so far back. You see this? So this line here, you see this line is where the other two sites end, but it's where A site starts. So this is the closest site to the enemy's spawn, but that doesn't mean that it's not balanced for the attackers. Where I think most attackers are going to be planting, it's going to be like here or here on one side of these blocks here, like this. And then what this does for the attackers is it allows them to kind of play back here and play even like over here, push up here a little bit, not too far, but kind of take control of this area, maybe defend behind, and then they can kind of just defend the spike like this. And if the spike is right here, you can play from here, and you don't really have to worry about getting flanked because, of course, this door makes a hell of a lot of noise whenever someone opens it. So you kind of just defend like this and then, you know, hold like this. Other plant spots, again, if the enemies you think are flanking from wherever, then you can plant somewhere on this side because you can plant on this whole site. I think this is probably the biggest plant spot out of all three of these sites here. So you can plant anywhere here, you can come up here, you can push their spawn, take control of their spawn. Another interesting thing about this is that you cannot jump up here. You need to be able to TP or updraft, which I think is really kind of interesting. I'm not sure why they chose to do this, but it is interesting. It'd be fascinating to figure out how it turns out. But you can defend from here, you can stay over here, hold their spawn. If nobody comes from spawn, then you know that everyone's coming the other way. And of course, you're going to have a nice view onto the spike. So that's how I think these three sites are more than likely going to play in most scenarios. I think the plant spot for here is going to be somewhere in the front. I don't think you'll typically plant in the middle because I feel like that's kind of just limiting yourself. I feel like if you plant in here, it's going to be kind of hard to defend it from a lot of angles, especially for teammates that might be late or something. Hopefully that doesn't happen too much though. And yeah, guys, let's move to the fifth and final tip about Lotus. The final tip that I have for you is something that I take from Haven, which is the only other 3-site map in the game. So Haven is, again, not similar to this map really at all, other than the fact that they each have 3 sites. But something that they do also share in common is that you want to kind of be willing to rotate pretty frequently. So there's going to be a lot of scenarios where you go somewhere and there's just a really good reason why you don't want to push it, right? Whether that's that, like, oh, there's an op up here, or oh, there's like at least 2 people here, so let's try to go somewhere else. And again, that's really what these doors are for. So smoke this off, open the door, and just rotate. And you see, here's the next site. Like, it's very easy to get from here to here in a matter of just some seconds. And you can also say you're trying to push B, but you know that they're already rotating toward B because B is connected to all parts of the defender's map. except for, I mean, A takes a little while to get to, but you can just come through this door, and then if someone's already looking up A on your team, then this is going to be really easy. So the last tip is really to just be flexible, be malleable in how you're willing to rotate. If your team's like, go A, go A, but you know that might not work, just tell your team, like, let's be willing to rotate here. Let's play slow, or let's play, like, default, let's spread out. Those are all useful things to say whenever you don't want to hard commit to a site immediately. And that's going to really help you, you know, figure out, you're kind of just trying to probe, like, where is the enemy's weakness. So let's say you have, like, one person in each part of the map, and then you have a teammate that walks all the way up to here, and then you guys figure out that, oh, there's 3 on A, there's 3 on A, come see, come see, come see. And then maybe there's one person here, you kill them, and now you guys have the C site. Whereas if everyone's like, let's fast push C, fast push, or fast push A, fast push A, you'd be pushing into 3 people, and that's not really necessary to do straight away in every scenario. It might be good in some scenarios, like after you win pistol round and you guys have a gun advantage, but we don't always need to be fast pushing. We can spread out, we can default, we can take it slow. And yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, this map is quite beautiful. Hopefully you like my thumbnail. Let me know if you have any other questions or suggestions for guides, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.